Start the day with Orphé. I'm a routine, I get better each day. I conquer my goals, I plan to be great. I plan to be early, you plan to be late. Your bread in the kitchen, my bread in the bank. The secret if you tryna master your fate is start the day with Orphé.
Welcome to Start the Day with Orphé. I am Anthony Orphé, and this is the realest podcast for growth and development. This journey is designed as a safe space to develop the skills that we will need to reach our goals emotionally, professionally, spiritually, personally. And I think that what we'll do is we'll all level up together. I'm here with my brother,
Wilber
Trivino. Say what's up.
What's good, Ant? How you doing, brother?
I am fantastic. He's the co-host. We are a team. And I'm excited about today, right? I'm excited about every show, but this one is like really close to me because it speaks to a lot of what I've been going through lately, right? So this one is about manifesting, right? Is it worth your time?
Yeah. Shit.
Right? And it's funny because we had a conversation before coming here that somebody said, or before starting, that somebody said, don't spend too much time thinking, just do, right? And I think that cuts a lot of manifesting off. So I'm going to answer the question and then we're going to get into the analysis, right? So the question is manifesting worth your time?
I would say it is.
And I say like unequivocally yes, right? But first we need to be thinking about, what manifesting really is.
Right.
And
so how do you define manifesting?
Well,
first of all, what's the objective definition, or not the objective, but just the standard definition of manifesting, and if whether your definition is
okay.
What's
so
the word I'm trying to
I would say right, no, but I get it, right? So like Oxford, they define manifesting as a verb, right? So that right there should tell you something. And it tells you that you have to have an action first, of course, right? So there is acting. But it says that you have to display or show a quality or feeling.
Okay.
Right? By one's actions or appearance to essentially demonstrate.
Yeah.
Now, that's what the dictionary says. Now, what Anthony says, right, is that manifesting is about changing your life. Manifesting is thinking through vision to action.
Okay.
That is what manifesting, right? Thinking through vision to action for a goal.
Okay.
Because I think that there are so many different ways in which we can think about, like true manifestation. Because I think a lot of people think manifestation is just thinking so hard about something that the universe or God or whatever you believe in will give it to you.
Yeah, and my definition or how I think about manifesting has a little bit to do with that. You know what I'm saying? It all depends on what it is that I'm wishing. You know what I'm saying? But for me, manifestation is the power of visioning.
Yeah.
Your whatever goal or whatever scenario you want sometime in the future. You know what I'm saying? That is not currently happening right now, and I do believe that once you go through that power or through that action of visualizing internally, and if you're really adamant about it and you continuously do it, that the universe will help you in your effort to achieve that goal.
Okay. All right. I can get with that, right? And you say universe, I will say God, right? And, like the Bible says, and I'll say, say amen. The Bible says that faith without work is dead. And when you think about manifestation, you just said the universe, right? So if I just replace universe with God, you have faith that God will bless whatever you're doing, your works, to achieve those goals, right? That is what manifesting is. I have a vision.
Yeah.
I say, man, I really want to be XYZ. I want to do XYZ. I develop whatever action plan I need. And then I really believe and I have faith that God is going to put me in a position to make sure those goals happen because of my actions, right? But before we get like to the actions and all that stuff, there are things that I want everybody to be able to take from it, right? Like, so I have like 5 steps almost that I think we need to follow in order, to bring manifestation forward, right? So I think like the first one, I would say that we have to develop a goal, right? You got to have a goal. We got to have an idea of what we actually want to achieve, right? And not in the way in which, I just have a goal like I want to make $1 million, right? That's my goal. Okay, that's a great goal. But if you just won the lottery tomorrow, that's your goal. Did you manifest that lottery, right? I don't think so. I think what happened is you just, you got lucky. Because manifestation in this essence is about growth.
Okay.
Right? It's about the journey more than anything else. So if you develop a goal, we got to be thinking about what is it that I'm trying to achieve into the future, and then developing how I'm going to get there.
Yeah.
Right? So we want to first develop a goal, and goals are made in furtherance of our purpose. Right? We haven't even touched on purpose a lot yet, right? But purpose is like, what is it that's pulling at you? What is it that is driving you? And I'll say this, and we talked about this on the way here, is that like, I don't believe that purpose is something that you just happen upon.
No.
Right? I think purpose is something that is like innate within you, and you end up discovering it through just trying a bunch of different shit.
Yeah. So do you think everybody here has a preordained purpose at birth?
Yes,
Yeah?
I do. I think everyone is born with a purpose.
Even if it's negative or positive?
Sure, but I'm not even like, I don't know, a negative purpose. What do you mean? You'd have to define what do you mean by a negative purpose?
So like, let's just say, for example, murderers, right?
Uh-huh.
And people who commit violent crime.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what would be their purpose?
I don't believe that their purpose was when they were born, it was to go and kill other people.
No. And I'm not saying that's what you mean, but my question to you would be, what is their purpose? Like, what would you think their purpose is?
We have no idea, right? Because I don't think that they ever realized their purpose, right? They never realized the thing that they were going to positively contribute to the world with.
So you're saying everyone at birth has a positive purpose?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think everyone is born with a purpose to contribute positively to this world.
Gotcha.
Right? And that's based on my faith.
Yeah.
Right? I think that God put everyone on this planet in order to fulfill a purpose.
All right.
What that purpose is, we have no idea until you figure it out, right? It becomes apparent to you when you finally get there. For me, I feel like I've known my purpose for most of my life, right? And that's always been to be like a guiding post, a guiding light for other young black and brown men to achieve, right? To be able to say, oh man, because I saw Anthony do it, I know I can. Because I think for black and brown men, we don't have enough of those, right? And like even when I was a young kid, man, like I would be reading to younger kids because I felt like there was something I had to offer them.
Oh shit, really?
No, for real. Like when I was in elementary school, I think maybe the 4th grade, like I would be reading to kindergarten and 1st grade classes.
Oh,
because in the 4th grade, I was a prolific reader, right? Not everyone is, but in the 4th grade, I was a prolific reader. But also, I felt like I had something to give to them that they didn't currently have, right? And that was just innate within me. That was something that I had, like I felt like I was in touch with at a young age. But, we talk develop a goal, right? In furtherance of our purpose. The second part, I think, is what habits do we need to develop in order to achieve those goals? Now, I don't think most of us think about the habits. What habits do we
Right.
do? We just go through life and we're like, well, damn, why am I not able to do the things I've wanted to do? Probably because you don't have the habits that are necessary to do those things. Right? So I think if we are developing positive habits, right? Like there are some, what do you think might be one habit that everyone would need in order to, to reach some of the goals that they have?
So I personally think that there are some habits that are applicable and relevant across the board for any goal that you want to achieve. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think the one that comes to my mind right now very quickly is, consistency.
Yeah,
Right?
I agree with that.
You need to have consistency, and patience. I know you only asked for one, but I'm giving you two.
Right.
Patience.
Right.
You gotta build that habit of just letting things develop naturally, because I personally believe that everything that happens in your life is for a reason,
Yeah.
and things come to you at the right time.
Right. Right. I agree. Like consistency is something that a lot of us lack.
Yeah.
Can you give consistent effort in furtherance of your goal and your passion and your purpose?
Right.
A lot of us can't because we're too scatterbrained. Like, I won't say like an ADHD thing, but it's more like if it doesn't pan out in a month, then we're like, dang.
And shit has gotten worse right now with the whole, internet being the way it is, AI coming in, social media.
It's like microwave.
Yo.
The microwave.
Nuts.
Everybody wants the microwave. Nobody wants the oven.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
You ever tried to bake a pie in the microwave though?
Yeah. No, but like one, I can't bake for shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like Latin people, they're good at frying.
Oh yeah, man.
But
Shit, yeah.
frying, right? But baking, Latin people suck at baking for the most part. You have your exceptions,
Sure.
So
But I mean, if you ever tried to make anything, like you ever tried to fry chicken in the microwave?
no,
You know what I'm saying? It's like the microwave is good for some things, right? There are some things that we can do quickly, but improving our lives and reaching our goals, that's an oven task, right?
Yeah.
Those are oven tasks. So I do agree. I think the consistency, man, the consistency is key. The second one you said, time and patience. We just went over.
yeah.
We want the microwave. Microwave is good. It's not great.
Right.
Microwave is okay. It's not great.
For certain things.
Microwave is okay for certain things.
Right. For certain things, but it's definitely not even okay.
Microwave is only good to warm up the stuff
In a minute.
that you spent time cooking already, right?
Right.
So you already used the oven to cook it. You just need to warm it up real quick,
Right.
right? So like social media, you just need to warm it up real quick. But I did all the work before, right? So maybe I just want to warm it up. So I agree, but I also think like you need a positive attitude.
That's true. Yeah.
Positivity, optimism is we can't have a conversation about goals if the first thing we're talking about is why they aren't achievable, why they're not reachable.
Yeah.
Like we are sitting here talking, we're dreaming, we're planning. Everything is about how we're going to make this happen.
Right.
Solutions, not creating more problems, right? So that positive attitude is so important.
I agree fundamentally.
It is so important to be able to look at things and remain positive.
And that shit is so hard.
It's
That
hard.
is so hard.
When things are not going your way, this shit is hard, right? It's like,
So hard.
damn, man, like I just lost my best friend, my girlfriend doesn't want me anymore.
Right.
My dog ran away,
And then life always has this shit of like one bad shit followed by two bad shit comes in threes, right? Like
Right.
It's just like bang, bang, bang.
Right,
And then it's like, damn, what the fuck?
right. And
So to keep the positivity in check and in play, that's a skill.
Mm-hmm.
That's a real skill. Like not to let anything like phase you a little. Like it can phase you a bit or momentarily, but not like devastate you to the point that you just stop your journey, you know?
Right. And so I also think that flexibility,
Yeah.
right? You need to be flexible, because opportunities come, things happen that will force you to pivot a bit. If you're too rigid and you're looking at it like, well, that's not what I wrote down in my plan, so I'm not going to do it, you will miss out on a lot of blessings.
Yeah.
Right? You'll miss out on a lot of things that are going to help you maybe even accelerate your plan to a point that you had no idea was even possible. But because because we were too stubborn in our ways or too fixated on something, we weren't flexible, we missed out.
Yeah, and I think you referenced the Bible earlier.
Yeah.
And I think the Bible also speaks about like balance, right?
Yeah.
Everything needs to be balanced.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, is that why the fundamental number is 7 or something like that?
That I don't know.
But then just because I figured that it's 3 and 3 on each side, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, like the Bible, even though I don't identify as a Christian or a Catholic, but I grew up as a Catholic.
Yeah.
It's all about balance.
Yep.
You got to have balance. And
Yes.
so you got to find that balance between determination, where it's not going to like stop, nothing's going to stop you in your track.
Right.
But also the ability to be adaptable and like pivot, right?
Right. I agree.
And like open-minded.
I agree. And so, the flexibility, the positive attitude, those things, but the open-mindedness is even something different, right? Being open to new ideas.
Right.
Like personally, before I decided to go and get an MBA, we had already been in law school, been practicing, achieved a lot, had a master's degree already, and I looked at it like,
Here we go.
What? First of all, you can't big up yourself enough, all right? Thank you very much.
Yeah, I am my own cheerleader.
Absolutely. Nobody gonna big you up better than yourself. But I looked at it like, why would I need to go back to school when I've got all this experience? I'm a licensed attorney. Like, what more is it that I need?
Yeah.
But then through the experience and through the growth, you realize why you needed it. And if it wasn't for opening my mind, expanding my horizons, I wouldn't be able to reach the heights that I'm reaching, be able to do the things that I want to do. I probably wouldn't even be here right now recording this for everyone, doing all of these things, because my mind was too closed. Right? And so that's why we separate even open-mindedness.
So let me ask you this then. How should someone approach the skill or the habit of being open-minded and having someone on the outside say, you shouldn't be doing this, or this is not for you?
So,
And like pretty much like shitting on your parade or shitting on your journey.
oh man, well look, there's always going to be detractors and haters.
Right. Do you keep an open mind? Like, I guess the question I'm trying to ask is, do you keep an open mind to that? Because open mind to me means you open to everything.
No, I would say if you truly believe that something is in furtherance of the goals that you're setting, the purpose that we're chasing, right? No one else is going to be able to tell you that something is wrong. Something being wrong, you'll be able to feel that like in your internal compass. And I'm glad you said that, right? Because that's something that's really important for our journey. Because this journey, like I said, is a safe space for growth.
Right.
And so if we're going to grow, the first place that we need to grow is here.
Yeah.
We need that mental fortitude to say, hey, look, I appreciate you. I appreciate your opinion. But I know that this is my purpose, right? I've thought about this enough. I am mentally strong enough. I have developed the skills that I need enough to know that I'm on the right track, right? And the people who are supposed to be there to help you along that race will be there, and you'll feel that. You'll know that, right? But it's all about first developing self,
Gotcha.
right? So that's why
Knowledge of self.
knowledge of self, right? That's why manifesting is the internal vision that you have for your external world, and then acting upon that external world and going to fuck shit up. Straight up.
Yo, now, so from and so I agree with everything you said.
Yeah.
Right. But to add to that, I would say this is how I see about open-mindedness and people saying being open to all sorts of opinions,
right?
Supporting and non-supporting,
right?
To the people who be like, I'm open to hearing other people's opinions and them being like, yo, this shit is never going to work.
Yeah.
And then the first question that comes to my mind is why? Why do you say that?
Right.
Right. And then they give me their reason. But if I'm not open, right, I'm just going to be like, man, fuck you. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
But when you're open and you ask why and you become curious, you get their reasoning. You learn something that maybe you can take back to your drawing board and be like, yo, I didn't consider that.
Okay.
And then this is how I would address that.
You know what? And I can agree with that. I agree with that. And I guess I think what I took is like, do you take and internalize what they're saying, right? And do you think, oh, well, my plan is fucked because they said so?
Yeah, you definitely don't internalize it, but
Right.
but like you be open to understanding why people are saying the things that they are.
I got you. Okay. All right.
Both supporting and
So I can agree with that because that's still growth.
right.
Right. Still positive growth.
Right.
Not negative retraction. Like, well, shit, damn. What do I do now?
Exactly.
So okay, I agree with that. And then I think the last one, it's not least, is being able to critically think. And that goes to the piece that you just said. What if somebody says, hey, that's not going to work? You have to be able to critically think about anything in life, but you have to be able to critically think and analyze for yourself. How does this apply to my life? How does this apply to the situation I'm in?
Yeah.
What is it that I can do to make it better? How can I remove something to make it better? How can I add something to make it better, right? That is what critical thinking is. How can I think through this process in order for the best possible outcome?
Right.
If you have those things, I think those habits are great to start with.
Yeah.
There are other ones, like I believe that getting up early and starting the day like early is huge.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm just naturally an early bird.
Yeah.
So I wake up early.
Like, I think that's huge. But some people might not be for them, right? They might work through the night. Like, but I think that starting early, seeing more daylight, that is just like invaluable as a habit.
So the reason why I was snapping my fingers while you were saying that, because another habit just came to me.
Yeah.
Right? Is the habit of humility.
Ha, being humble.
Being
humble.
Yo, that habit, and by that I mean having the confidence and the inner confidence to understand that you don't know everything and it's okay.
Okay.
Right? And having the humility to seek out other people's expertise and listen. It's because you don't know everything.
Right. You know what? And I agree with that. And I think that is a portion of being humble. And I want us to clarify a little bit about humble, because I think some people being humble means that they shouldn't big up themselves, right? Like I was just talking about, these are my accomplishments.
Right. And I was just playing with you.
And right. And it's not because I'm arrogant, because to me what humble is that you always talk your shit. I'm gonna say this. You always talk your shit. You don't ever let anybody diminish your light.
Right.
Right? Your light shines brightest because you turn that shit up.
Right.
But you are humble, in my opinion, because of my faith, because you are only so great because God's grace has allowed it. Right? So yes, I've done all of these things only because God made it so.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So while I've done this, I give all my thanks to God.
Yeah, and so there, there's definitely a difference and a fine line between confidence and arrogance, right? like not letting someone else dim your light
Right.
is very different than like saying this is like being boisterous and just, like, this is my light and like fuck y'all.
Right.
You know
I
what
did this.
Yeah, I did this and I did that. And I'm a big proponent of this, and that you don't succeed on your own.
No.
I don't give a damn what, but you don't succeed in a vacuum.
Right.
You don't do it all because you need, like, you have other people doing different things that contribute to the overall success.
Right.
But however small, but no matter what, you can, no one can say that they succeeded on their own.
Right. And that's true. Nothing great happens alone.
Nothing.
Right. So what habits do we need? I also think that 3, we need to understand that we have to think to vision, right? But we also must act. So I don't want people to think, I can think, I can write down, I can plan. You need to be able to act in order to manifest, to execute in order to manifest. Execution is huge.
Now, before we get into that, I just want to go back a little bit.
Okay.
Right? You said to an earlier that you want to be like a guiding post for black men and black boys.
Yeah,
right?
black and brown. Yep.
And
sure.
And so help me understand and help everyone else understand why just black boys, black and brown boys, and or men, right? Why are you, even though the podcast is for everyone, for sure.
Yeah.
But like you're focused on that, and why is that the case?
Ooh, man, that's a whole nother podcast in itself. However, I will say this is because we need the most help.
That is true, though.
As opposed to, let's say, our counterparts in black and brown women.
Yeah.
Who let me give up.
Queens,
let me give
the queens out
let me
here.
give a big up to the black and brown women out there. My mother is a black woman. My wife is a black woman. My daughter is a black woman. They are everything that I am and more.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And they are smarter than we are. Let me just put that out. Black women, brown women are smarter than black men and brown men.
Yeah. And I would even say, just in general, women
Right?
are
Women.
much smarter than
They
than
are
men.
they are better planners. They are much more meticulous, right? They are more thoughtful. The difference is that in this paternalistic society, emotion, passion have been divided between the men and the women, right?
Yeah.
When a man is emotional, it's called passion. When a woman is emotional, it's called emotional.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just called,
Damn.
and that's a negative connotation.
Right. Right.
It's called emotional, right? Like,
That's a nugget.
that is why, right? That is why I want to focus on the black and brown men, because we need it the most. When we were in law school, there were many more black and brown women.
That is true, though. Black and brown women have their shit together more so than black men and brown men in higher education, from what I've seen.
Right. And so, like at Columbia, there were more black and brown women than men. The reason being is, let me say this, is that there are more black and brown women available in society, right? Because of a high number of black and brown men are in prison.
Okay. Yeah.
And so we also just need the help. We need more people to look at and say, hey, I know I can achieve. Right? Just in the last 10 years, like if you think about it, like we've had Barack Obama, for example, right? That man is a rock star. He is a guiding post. But even black women have Michelle Obama still, right? Now they've got Kamala Harris. Who? Barack is gone out of the White House. He's still a guiding light. He's still a post, but now he's out of the limelight. And Michelle is now blowing up, doing her thing, writing books, going on speaking tours. My wife went to see her in Atlanta. Amazing time, right? We need more of us to be guiding posts.
Gotcha.
You know, their experience and their journey being black women and brown women is their own, and that's what they can speak to.
Yeah.
I know what a black boy or a brown boy is going through, right? For the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not the intricacies, but the overall grand schemes.
Mm-hmm.
I know what they're going through. I've been through them.
Yeah.
So I can speak. I can say, hey, I know that you grew up in this type of household,
Right.
but it's still possible.
Yeah.
So just a aside, that's the reason why, man. And look, like, I'm very passionate about that. That's why I'm so huge on mentorship.
Right.
Very passionate.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying, because I just didn't want people to think that, you know, you're being like exclusionary, because I know that's not you. So
No.
But I just didn't want anyone to get the wrong impression.
No,
You know what I'm
no.
saying?
And it's very, hey, look, man, you know, we are for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that we can speak to the experiences on some level of all people.
Yeah.
But I think specifically to take the nuggets that we are trying to lay out, you know, I think black and brown men will be able to learn the most from what we're talking about.
I agree. I
Right?
agree. Now, back to execution.
Okay, right? So back to execution, right? So understanding that we need to think to vision,
Yeah.
but we also must act. And that's all about execution. Being able to execute the plan.
Mm-hmm.
And then understanding growth versus simple goal achievement. I got a great story for this one. I actually just thought about this great story. So my daughter is going through accelerated therapy, right? So my journey is at, you know,
Kudos to Big Z.
Zora was born at 23 weeks,
Yep.
right? She was born as early as you possibly can be born. Everything was stacked against her. She is the strongest person I know, bar none, not close. Everything was stacked against her. They were worried, would she live through the night, let alone to where she is now?
Right.
And so she's going through accelerated therapy, and she gets all kinds of services simply because of her premature birth. You know, we thank God, haven't had a journey with her where, you know, she's had a lot of developmental or, you know, mental disabilities, anything like that. She, for all intents and purposes, is a normal baby.
That's dope. That's dope.
But she still gets all of the services because they want to make sure that her development is in the right place, all those things, right?
Yeah.
So
Hold on, can we get a clap? Can we get like a clap button on that? You know what I'm saying? Like, yo,
Man,
for
look,
real, man.
look, I
Like,
appreciate it, man. And
that's
this is something
incredible
that
to
I'm
Big
also
Z.
very passionate about, man. My little girl is my life. She is daddy's little girl, and anybody who meets us, our family, knows that.
I love her faces, man.
Yo.
Me and Andrew be looking at her pictures. We're like, yo, she got the mean grill, yo.
Yeah,
like,
man, like little
like, you ain't shit, yo.
little Zora Levon Orphé, man. I love that little girl, right?
Yeah.
And so her therapist was like, hey, we see that she's doing so well in just her normal therapy. We want to put her in an accelerated program so that she can, you know, reach some of those goals even faster.
Dope.
We were like, all right, say no more. We're there. So now that means we have to go to therapy 4 days of the week, right? So we're going all the way downtown 4 days a week, right? The first day that we go to therapy, they say, well, one of our goals is to have her stand up for, you know, on her own without any assistance for 30 seconds. Okay. So we think about the muscles that that's going to take in her legs to develop and all of those things, right? So she'll go through quite the growth process to reach that goal. Now, this was at the beginning of therapy, the very first day. Then we go to therapy the next day. After therapy's over, Zora comes out with with her therapist. We're sitting in there because we're not really allowed to be in there right now because it's like this hard work.
Gotcha.
Right. Yeah. This is like training montage, 80 training montage, right? You fight to survive, like that guy there, right? Parents can't be around.
No distractions.
Right. So she comes out and her therapist says, all right, we need to develop new goals. We say, why?
What?
They say, well, you remember our goal was to have her stand up on her own after the end of the month for 30 seconds, right? Like, yeah, well, she stood up twice on her own for 45 seconds today.
Damn, yo.
Okay.
She got them quads, yo.
So, right. So now we think about it and you say, well, the plan that we developed was her to do that goal, right? That goal.
Right.
and that she would have to develop all of these different skills in order to do that. But she already had the skills. She was already prepared to do that.
Yeah.
So she achieved that goal. Where did she grow? She didn't. It was already in her. She already did it. And that's why we need to understand the difference between growth and goal achievement.
Do you think she manifested?
Yes. Zora manifested stage. She's ready, right? She's been like climbing on stuff. Like before, she's been climbing and coasting, grabbing stuff, taking little steps. She's ready to be out there with the kids and running and all that stuff. And she's still so little, so young, you know? So she's right on track. And so we need to be thinking about growth versus goal achievement, right?
Yeah.
Zora had a goal. They had a goal for Zora. Does that mean that she did everything that's necessary to grow? No. She didn't really go through a journey. She just achieved it. And a lot of people will have that same attitude. Oh, I've done all the work because I said my manifestation, I want $1 million. But then you play the lottery that night and you get lucky, you win the lottery, you have $1 million, but you didn't develop any skills that are going to get you to generate another $1 million.
I mean, the only skill, you envision that hard. And so
right. You just put a few numbers down and the machine was like, hey, look, your lucky day.
Listen,
so,
if that would have happened to me, I will envision harder. I would just that would be my skill. I would just be like,
my skill is to win the lottery.
Yeah,
right?
just envision stuff like now I want free food and like,
right. And that's the thing. Is like, yo, I want free food.
For my favorite restaurant.
I want us to understand, right, that this fourth tenet is like, you gotta understand that the manifestation portion is about growth that leads to a goal, not just coming up with a goal to achieve it. Because the growth is where you get the real value, right? Because that gives you the skills and everything that you need to go to the next level, right? If things are just given to you, you can't master the level. You're just gonna go to whatever. And then the last one is simply to get started. Taking that first step is the hardest part. A lot of us don't do it. A lot of us sit there and think, and not act and not go through that last part. That's why I had to put this one in there. Had to say, you got to get started.
And like, people have a difficult time getting started because I personally think it's just fear of rejection, fear of failure, childhood trauma, right? Self-esteem issues,
all kinds of issues,
whatever. It's a fucking litany of shit, right? That I can't truly understand it because I'm not built that way. Luckily, I've been blessed to not have any of those issues, right?
Right.
And so the thing that I would say is to get started is like just take the smallest step. Like dip your toe in, right? Into the pool.
Right.
If you go with that, then start sinking in your feet. Then your leg. Then you start walking into the deep end.
Right.
Walking, you know, and gradually, right? But just think of the smallest task towards that goal and just do it.
Right.
And just break it up into bite size.
Right.
And that will build momentum and confidence.
Yep. Totally. I totally agree with that. We can't have the paralysis by analysis, right? You can't have it. You've got to be able to truly take everything that you've planned in your mind and written down on your vision boards or whatever the case may be and go out and do it.
Yeah.
Right? Go out, get out of bed, go out and do it. And be obsessive about it on some level, right? Go out and do that shit.
And so let me ask you this. What do you think, or like, what advice do you have for people who even have the most difficult time in getting started with the smallest task?
I would first say you got to ask yourself, am I happy with where I am right now? If the answer is no, because you really want to achieve those goals, okay. If I don't do anything today, will I be in the same place I am now? The natural answer is yes. Therefore, I will still be unhappy. if I take one step, just get 1% better in the direction in which I really want to go, will that be in furtherance of my happiness? The natural answer is yes. So you almost force yourself because you critically think about, well, shit, I don't like where I am now. If I don't do anything, I'm going to stay there.
And you know what's so interesting about that answer that you just gave? That goes back to working. And you're like working on yourself first.
Yes, right. That's why
before getting that.
That internal mental fortitude is the first step in the journey, because you need to be able to strengthen yourself before you can go out into the world and affect others.
So the first question, so the first thing one should do if they're having such a difficult time, like almost paralysis, right? It's just like they don't want to do it, you know? And they don't even know why they don't want to do it, right? But you're saying, ask yourself if this goal will bring you happiness.
Right.
And the second question is, once you get the answer to that, is if I don't do anything today or tomorrow, will I still be right? So it's sort of like a self-inventory.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is.
And you're thinking critically about yourself and your moment in life.
That's the only way. That's the only way you're going to be able to, because you have to be able to take a self-assessment in order to start moving in the direction you need to move. That's for some people, right? Some people can just move.
Right.
Because they're used to movement, but some people are used to analysis. And they'll analyze and analyze and analyze and come up with reasons why they shouldn't. But I've got the easiest reason. Are you happy where you are now? No, because I really want to achieve that goal. Okay. If you don't do anything, can you achieve the goal? No. Then what do you have to do? Move in furtherance of it. Let's go. And that's what get started.
And then do you think that people should also ask themselves, like, well, what's holding me back? Like, what am I so afraid of?
Asking yourself what you're so afraid of, I think is positive on some levels, but it's irrelevant. Doesn't matter, because being afraid is nothing but having some self-imposition of, things that probably aren't even real.
Right. But I personally believe, right, like if you don't know the problem, you can't really resolve it. I'm a big proponent of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but then you're asking for more analysis than more paralysis.
Not necessarily, right? Because it's like, I'm not saying like, I'm saying that you should ask yourself those questions. It's my personal opinion that you should ask that question. What am I most afraid of, right?
Okay.
And then, like, think very critically and like honestly with yourself and be like, is it rejection? Nah, I don't really give a shit about what other people think. All right, so it's not rejection. Is it this? Is it that? And like just figure out like what are you most afraid of? And then from there, once you figure it out, and then you go into a further subset and saying, why am I so concerned about this? Why is this even coming to the surface? Figuring out that reason. And once you figure out that reason, I personally believe that if you're being honest with yourself and that, there's a way to delude yourself. But if you're really truly being honest with yourself, once you get to that root, you'll realize what you just said, right? It's false, or like it's this projection that doesn't really even exist, and so therefore like you almost can self-medicate and get rid of it.
Right. And you know what, I don't disagree, but what I will say is a caveat to that is that I don't think that we realize all of those things until we actually start. It's hard to come up with, well, why am I scared when you're still doing the same things you've been doing, because you're not seeing a difference in any of your actions, right? So you can't identify what's really the root, because you're doing the same things. And so it's like habit, right? Yeah. And the reason why I say that, let me tell my own story a little bit in manifestation, is like, it always started with my purpose. Like I talked about being able to read to the kids in kindergarten, right? I knew that my purpose was at an early age, right? It's so funny. Like I've been manifesting, I feel like my entire life, like manifesting success, manifesting things. Like I remember being 5 years old, right? And this is funny. Like I remember being on the toilet at 5 years old, and I would be like, "Ooh, I want a leather jacket like Uncle Jesse." Right? Uncle Jesse from Full House, which if you're a kid that grew up in the early 90s, he was one of the coolest dudes out there. John Stamos, shout out.
Yeah, shout out to John Stamos.
And I'd be like, yo, speaking, I got a jacket like Uncle Jesse on right now.
Yeah,
right?
you
Manifested my jacket.
Is that leather or pleather?
No, this is leather, bro. This is, you touch this lambskin, my man. Like, this is nice.
Oh, man.
And I'd be like, ooh, I want jeans like Uncle Jesse too, right? He had the rips. I remember my mom bought me jeans when I was a kid, and I ripped them myself. Ripped the knees. I was fly, 5 years old. Did myself. Design my own shit.
Start the day with Orphé clothing line.
Right. So I had like manifested, like I've been manifesting success and all those things since I was a little kid because I knew what I wanted. But this current journey I'm on in manifesting like really came about with understanding that there were more things out there in the world for me, right? More success, more challenges that led to success. Like all these things, they were out there. And I'll tell the story like this was about 2018, 2019, early 2019, 2018. I'm in Rochester, right? Like I'm at the height of my career, like swagginess, right? I'm a young Black attorney. I'm an executive for the city of Rochester, right? I'm president of the Bar Association.
Facts.
I'm on TV.
Facts.
I've got a program that we're bridging the gap between the legal community and and the community at large, and we're
Facts.
educating. We're showing, okay, these are like Black judges and all these things, showing
Facts.
kids why it's necessary, to finish school, to go through school, to master that level, because you can do these things too.
Facts.
Right?
Damn.
I'm at the height. I'm at an event for the Bar Association, right? It was a membership event, welcoming our new members for the year, gaining even more members coming up. And my mentor, who I'll talk about forever, he was there. Now, he's not an attorney, but he's one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life. Smartest and most connected person I've ever met in my life. One of only a handful of people in the country with a PhD in atmospheric chemistry. I'm like, the dude is legit like a rocket scientist, right? He's so smart.
You want to give him a shout out or not?
His name is Louis Tobias. Like man, Louis, my uncle.
You mentioned Uncle Louis last time.
My Uncle Louis, man.
Give a shout out to Louis, Uncle Louis.
Shout out, man. That dude is, man. I love that dude, man. I love him on a level that is like real family.
Yeah, you can't be talking about people like that without mentioning their names, man.
And so he's sitting in the event, and he's looking around, and he's like, he pulls me aside after the event, and he says, Anthony, I know you're doing your thing right now. Like, you're at the height. I'm not impressed. I said, whoa, what? Right? I was like, wait, what? I was so offended. Like, what do you mean not impressed?
Yeah.
Like, what is there not to be impressed about?
Yeah.
Right, that was my ego talking. And he was like, it's clear to me after watching you interact with other people, seeing all the great things that you're doing, you're smartest in the room, most charismatic in the room, all of these things, that means you need to find a new room. I said, wait, come on, man. Like, we got judges in here, we've got all kinds of people, leaders, business people. And what do you mean? He's like,
Yeah, interesting.
no, there's much greater out there. And my ego, I was closed-minded. My ego said, nah, man, you tripping. I'm doing it right now.
Mm-hmm.
I can stay on this path, right? And I'll be a leader in this community, right? I'll be leading, an organization. I'm doing all this stuff. And he's like, man, look, you can be global, international. There's a lot more out there.
Yeah, and so my question to you is, on that note, is like, what was he envisioning for you, right? And like, whether or not that was his plan, but not necessarily yours.
Right. So it's funny. You remember me, right, in law school, and my focus was like, yo, I'm going to go kill this corporate law. I'm going to go kill this, business. I'm going to go kill it.
Yeah, you were on that partner track.
Right. I'm going to go kill it, right? Business, law, all these things. And it just didn't quite work out.
Right.
And so I started to then achieve everyone else's goals, right? So all my other mentors, I started to go achieve their goals, right? That's how I ended up in Albany doing, law for the assembly and affecting the, state on transportation, all that stuff. That's how I ended up in Rochester.
Okay.
Assistant corporation counsel, then leading my own organization. Because first, when I got to Rochester, I was just like, all right, now I'm here. How I'm gonna make the best of this.
Yeah.
And then I just started to rise through the ranks, and all of a sudden, next thing I knew, I'm an executive.
Gotcha.
But it was because my mentor, one of my other mentors, Norman Jones, loved that man too. He taught me about excellence. He saw all the potential in me and was like, okay, you're going to achieve all the things that I wasn't able to do at your age. You're going to do it. Bet, let's do it. It was easy, right? So I was able to lead the organization. I became an executive at 32. These are the things that he wanted to do when he was, because he felt he was qualified, but he said, I'm going to make sure that you're in a position to shine and go do that. So I started achieving everyone else's dreams and kind of put mine on the back burner, and then thinking like, well, I wouldn't even know how to get into business. I wouldn't even know how to go kill it in the corporate world anymore. Right? I'm just going to kind of do this quasi-government, then maybe some private, but still because of what I've done in the government, right?
Right.
After that conversation I had with Louis, he then showed me who Robert Smith was, right? Robert Smith is someone that he is very close to, and he is, the richest, black man in America, billionaire, president, founder, CEO of Vista Equity. He is somebody who I look up to.
Does he have more money than Jay-Z, do you think?
Yes.
Yeah?
Oh, yes.
Oh, shit.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so it goes to show, right, that what I say is, like, you want to look at wealth, like, you want to know about wealthy people or rich people are the ones who are not in the fucking magazines.
Yeah, man. Like, I was speaking to a class, and I'm going for tangent, and I told them, like, every day when I'm at work, right, Midtown, I said I could walk past somebody who's a billionaire and I would never know it.
Never know.
Yeah, they're not on TikTok. Their name is not Lil Baby, Lil this, Lil that. They got more money than anybody you could think of.
And you don't even know.
You have no idea. And they're like, really? I said, yeah.
Yep.
Because I want you to understand that there are things out there that are bigger than sports and entertainment.
Right.
Because for a lot of kids in our community, they believe that the only way out is through sports and entertainment. They have no idea what banking and investment banking or private equity or hedge funds. They have no idea what that stuff is.
But I think that's also just to continue on this little tangent for a minute.
Yeah.
I think that's sort of changing a little bit with, like, I think LeBron and I think his universities and like STEM initiatives in our communities and things of that nature. So it's starting to, like, shift.
It is. I agree. It is starting to shift, right? And I actually just had a conversation with my good friends Lawrence yesterday at lunch, and he was like, man, we're trying to figure out if we want to put the kids into a sports camp this summer or like a STEM camp. And he was like, I'm really leaning toward, like a STEM or a coding camp because it gives them the skills that they'll have if, let's say, they don't decide that college isn't for them. They'll have skills that they can go out and still get a job.
Right.
And I kind of was taken aback because, I think about it like, man, we still got to raise them to let them be kids. Now, we're not raising robots. But he's thinking about it like, I don't want my kids to not have actionable skills when they're going out to the real world.
Yeah. I mean, and every parent is different, So at the end of the day, I personally believe, like, you do the best that you can with your child, and just know that, at the end of the day, you will fuck up your child just a little bit. Because
that's what Mel Robbins says.
Yeah,
right?
because you're never gonna get everything right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And so back on track, right? Louis shows me who who Robert Smith is, and I'm like, man. He was like, look, this is a friend of mine. This is somebody that I'm close to, and look how he's impacting the world. Look, and I'm like, dang, how could I do that? This is the kind of stuff that I was envisioning, like when I was in law school, all stuff. This is how I've been thinking about, what the next level is. I just didn't know how to get there. So he was like, well, look at the jobs they have available and maybe apply to something. So I'm looking at all the jobs, trying to apply the skills that I currently, had. And I was like, all right, man, I see. And then we applied to a job, and it was pretty much like the corporate version of what I was doing at the time. And the guy who was hiring at that point, didn't hire me because he already had somebody that he wanted, right? He was new to the company and bringing somebody with him.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, man, like I'm super qualified, like. And I remember Louis saying to me, well, what do you think the difference is between you and like people on the executive team or all this other stuff? And I was like, I don't know, man. Like, what's the difference? I said, some of these people went to, Wharton or Stanford or Harvard or Columbia. And he was like, that's it. You need to consider going back to school. Oh, closed mind again, right? I'm like, hell no.
Yeah.
I was like, are you trying to tell me I don't have enough experience? Like, I'm a licensed attorney, man. I'm running an organization that's, 300-400 people. Like, I've got $150 million capital budget. Like, I'm doing all this stuff. These people can't hold a candle to me, right? And he was like, but they have the pedigree and they get the benefit of the doubt. I want you to just think about it, right? And that is a part of what we just talked about.
Right.
We're manifesting. How do you have a habit of being open-minded enough to accelerate your goals? Because I'm gonna tell you right now, if I didn't listen in that conversation,
You would be on a longer path.
I'd be on a much longer path than I am right now, because what I did is like in Mario, like in Super Mario, when you go through the pipe and you are on level 1 and you go through the pipe, you're on level 4. That's exactly what he did. He took me from level 1 to level 4, right? Now there might be 12 levels, but I went from 1 to 4 in the time that it takes to get from 1 to 1.5, right? So I started to think about school. I said, all right, you know what? I'm going to go to school. I'm going to go back and get my MBA, but I got to go to the best, right? So I manifested the time. I said, okay, what do I need to do? I need to be able to study. Do I have the habits to get in that? I already had it because, look, I passed the hardest exam in the world, in the bar exam, so I knew I had the habits already in me.
ChatGPT can't even pass it.
Right.
that ChatGPT had to take it twice.
I wish that was around when we had law school. I mean, man, ChatGPT?
But think about it. ChatGPT took it twice, had to take it twice in order to pass it, because the first one it failed.
I only took it once.
And we only took it once. And that's the old version. I wonder what version ChatGPT took.
Right. That's the UBE, not the New York State bar exam.
Yeah, that shit was a motherfucker.
And so, I finally did all of those things, and I, through the grace of God again, accepted to Columbia Business School, which is the #1 business school in the world. And I got there still wondering, like, dang, how did I get here? It was in the plan, right? It became a part of the plan, but I'm like, my vision for business and for corporate, like success is now even closer.
Yeah.
And so I start on Wall Street, I get to a place where I'm like, man, I've learned so much. Now, how do I take these skills and continue to accelerate my time? But remember, we talked about this journey starting with being introduced to who Robert Smith was, right? So from that time, I'm thinking like, man, I got to meet this guy. Like, I want to work for this guy. I want to meet this guy. And, I'm like, Louis, what do I need to do? Like, this is your guy. This is like Wilber being, a billionaire, and one of my mentees or, my nephew like, hey, man, I really want to meet him. And I'm like, all right, we'll do this, do that. But I still ain't meet Wilber, right? And so I remember thinking like, all right.
I'm a billionaire at heart.
What I'm going to do. Yes, you are rich in love, Wilber. And so not only did I want to meet him just because he had achieved this level of wealth that I didn't know was possible for a black man to do, but he did it. But because he's affecting so many lives, like you know, the philanthropy that he does, right? The things that he does to affect black and brown boys and people in general is amazing, right? That even that piece is worthy, right? Being a philanthropist, having the wherewithal to say that there are things in this world that I want to affect and I want to use my influence to do it positively. That is amazing. And so Louis like, hey, look, we're having this, you know, economic forum in Atlantic City. I'm gonna put you on the VIP list. That way you'll get to meet Robert. I was like, what? I get to meet Mr. Smith? Like, really? I'm there. Don't say no more. Comes around the day of the event. I didn't know it was really the day of the event, right? And I had called Louis to say, hey, I know it's this week or is it next week? You know, what day is it? But he didn't answer. And then my wife and daughter and I are downtown at one of Zora's appointments. I get an email that says, hey, we can't wait to see you tonight. I'm like, what? The event starts at 6:30. This is 4 o'clock.
Jesus.
I was like, wait, what? I'm going to miss it. Because, you know, Atlantic City is 3 hours away. It's 4 o'clock. We're still at the appointment. And this is the height of rush hour, downtown Manhattan. There's no way I'm going to make it. Didn't even have on a suit, had on sweats. I'm like, oh, man. I was so down. My wife's like, don't worry. This is going to get you to where, you know, you're still going to be able to do it. You know, just remember your vision, remember your plan. You got it. It's going to happen. Fast forward, right? I called Louis to catch up. And Louis was like, we were having a conversation, and the thing that sticks out to me is like, remember, there's always going to be somebody willing to do more than you. Right? I'm not telling you that what you're doing is wrong, being a good father, all this other stuff, but he was like, just remember on your, you know, your path for success that there's always going to be somebody willing to do more. So just remember that and be okay with it.
Right.
I'm like, okay. The next day, and it was in the context of, I was going to Carnegie Hall to see Robert Smith, and I was asking Louis, is it possible to get me in with him while he's here for that? And he was like, probably not. Remember what happened when, you know, you were on the VIP list and you could have been eating chicken wings with him in the back, you know, in the room with 3 other people.
Yeah.
I'm like, dang, but you know what happened? He was like, but remember, there's always somebody willing to do more than you. That was the take home. Next day he calls me and he says, hey, what are you doing? I literally have Zora across my lap changing her diaper. And I'm like, changing the poopy diaper? He was like, what are you doing tonight? I said, oh, well, nothing. You have your tux? I was like, what? He was like, do you have a tuxedo? I said, yeah, it doesn't fit. I got a black suit, though. Nah, you're going to need a tux. You're going to be on TV. I said, what? He was like, yeah. So I said, hold on. I said, let me call you back. Let me finish this. I'll call you back. So I finished changing the diaper. I call him right back. I was like, all right, tell me what's going on. He was like, I just got a call from Robert, and he's stuck out of the country and being awarded a philanthropy award for 100 black men at the Jazz at Lincoln Center at 5 today. This was at 10 o'clock in the morning. He said, I'm on my way now, and I need you to come with me to accept this award on his behalf. I was like, what? He was like, but you don't have a tux. I said, no, this is New York City. I'll be ready. Because in the back of my mind was ringing, there's always somebody willing to do more than you.
You don't want to have repeat.
No, I'm not going to have that repeat, right? So we go to this event. We go through all these machinations. Shout out to my wife again. My barber's not open on Wednesday, not cutting. I needed a haircut bad. My wife is on DMing barbers. Are you accepting clients right now? This is in the middle of the afternoon on a Wednesday. Is the barbershop even open? I needed a tux. She found me a tux shop that not only got me a tux, but did alterations on the spot. So I had a tux that fit.
Nice.
Shout out to my wife once again.
Shout out. Yo, can we press that button on there right there for Rima?
She made it happen.
Can we press that button on there for Rima?
Right. And so I got everything together. Finally, I meet Louis at the Trump International, because that's where he had a room so he could get ready and everything for the event. He pulls up, I get there, and I'm like, all right, so let's go. We walk across the street to the Jazz. We go. This room is filled with CEOs. You know, you got Bret Hart, the CEO of United Airlines, right? You got the CEO of TD Bank, you know, all these people.
Yeah.
So we go into the room, we sit down. Louis sits down before me. He sits down in the second row. He's like, your seat's right there. Literally in the first row with all of the honorees. I'm like, okay. So I'm sitting there and he's like, yeah, this is probably where, you know, Robert would have sat right there in the front row. And you're on camera. This was literally
Smile
on national TV, and I'm in the camera the whole time.
Smile.
But again, this is about manifesting, right? So now I'm even closer to meeting Robert Smith, right? I still been doing the work. Fast forward again, there's a conference tomorrow. It's called Elevate Conference at Columbia Business School. I'm speaking at the conference. You know who else is speaking?
Robert Smith.
Robert Smith is also speaking at this conference.
I've been listening.
I have the opportunity now where I'm going to be able to shake an idol of mine, his hand. And not only say, hi, how are you doing? My name is Anthony Orphé, but congratulations on your award from the 100 Black Men. You know, hey, I was there with Louis to accept on your behalf. I'm sure he already knows. But now it's like full circle.
Right.
And I'm like, man, if that's not manifestation, I have been manifesting these things, doing the work. I had a plan, and everything started to come together after I had already done the work. I'd done so much work to get to this place, and then things just cascaded and started happening.
And so that's that's why I say, I think, like, with that story, in my opinion, the universe has conspired to get you what you want. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Once you have that vision,
Right.
like, yes, you've been doing the work, but at the same time, I believe that the universe has worked in its magic, what you believe to be God, right?
And I say it is God.
You know?
Right.
Conspiring in your favor. So
Right.
so that's dope, man. That's amazing. Can we get a round of applause for that
I
story
can't-
real quick?
I am
Yo,
so-
bam,
man,
bam,
this
bam,
is
bam, bam.
amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you. This is amazing, man. I'm so excited, but you know, like I do want to wrap this up, man. I feel like we've been talking about this.
Well, hold on. You've
We
been
have
talking a lot.
so much.
You've been talking a lot.
This is called Start the Day with Orphé. I want you to know.
You've been talking a lot. I got a story a short story.
All right, let me hear it.
To share.
Let's
you
hear
know? So you said that you've been manifesting since you were 4.
Yeah.
Right, or 5. So when I was in kindergarten, you know how they ask all the students, like, what do you want to be when you grow up and whatever for the yearbook, and
Sell crack.
and so
No, yeah,
yo, why I gotta be the one selling crack?
You Columbia.
Nope, we don't do crack.
No, you know, you don't do it.
We don't sell crack either. So how do you call it? And I'll let you get away with that little stereotype joke because you my brother. Any stranger, I would not let that fly. And so everyone, or like all the other boys were like, I want to be a firefighter. I want to be a police officer, or, you know, whatever. I want to be a carpenter. And I was the only one who said, I want to be the president of the United States.
Right.
You know? And for the picture, I had a tux on. So I looked different than everybody, you know? And so the teachers laughed, right? Like, they chuckled at that idea from a 5-year-old, 4-year-old, right? Saying that they wanted to be the president of the United States. My mom's like, I don't see anything funny, right? And so fast forward now to I'm 34. I don't want to be the president of the United States, right? But I've always had big ideas. You know what I'm saying? I've been always to like strive for something great, big, or whatever, ever since I was 4 years old, 5 years old. So
Right.
And with respect to the purpose, like I don't know what my purpose is just yet.
Yep.
But I do know that I believe that I'm here for a purpose.
That's right.
And why do I believe that fundamentally is because I I should not be alive. You know, I evaded death first time coming out the womb. I came out dry. The doctors did my mom dirty, and I was in the belly after the water broke for like over 12 hours or some shit like that, to the point that my mom was just like, just give me the C-section. Just give me the C-section, because they wouldn't take her, even though like natural birth. She wanted natural birth. The moment she said C-section, because she had good insurance, right? But then there were complications. Came out dry. But luckily, I survived. 10 years old, I get hit by a motorcycle in Colombia. Selling crack? No.
So okay.
No. I was just walking down the street with my cousins, and my dad always said, you hear a motorcycle, you run to the sidewalk. So we're walking in the middle of the street. I hear a motorcycle. It just so happened that the motorcycle did a wide turn where I was running and clipped me, right?
Wow.
Right here in the forehead. That's why I have this scar right here. Then, bloodied up, but fast forward, survived it, right? Law school with the homie Paul. We're driving after a night out. We have drank crazy amount of alcohol. We had a designated driver who doesn't drink. So we were responsible. A freaking deer crosses, you know, in that freaking expressway going into Amherst. Deer crosses into the expressway. Paul's boy swerves. Jean.
Yeah.
Swerves, which you're not supposed to do. The deer goes back, goes from there, from the right to the left. He swerves to the left. The deer, and so when he swerves to the left, the deer is at the left. So then the deer runs, and John, in that same second, swerves to the right. Bro, our car spun twice from the left, through the middle lane, through the right lane, into a ditch. I saw, we had a fucking track trailer, a 14-wheeler behind us on the right side. I saw that car's headlights twice. And I literally was like hanging on. I was like, we're dead. I was like, we're dead. How the fuck we did not, like in that moment, no car was around us. No, just cars in front of us and behind us. And in that span of like a second or 2 seconds, as soon as we hit that ditch, the tractor just goes, right? And so literally the next day, like with Paul, I was just like, me and him were both like, yo, the sun is out. The flowers smell great. The coffee tastes delicious. It's a great appreciation for life, right? And so because of that, I do know that I'm supposed to be here for a purpose.
You are here for a purpose.
Yeah, I just don't know what it is yet. I think I'm starting to figure it out with this whole like preventive law, you know, and having my own law firm and educating the general public and trying to bring people up through the ranks and whatever and help achieve their goals. I feel like I'm getting closer to that purpose, but ever since my motorcycle accident at 10 years old, I was like, I'm supposed to be here. Because a week before that, which I didn't mention, one of my good friends who was 10 years old died in a swimming pool in a barbecue.
Wow.
Like a month or two before that.
Wow.
And then my accident, my dad was like devastated. He thought he was going to lose his child, just like his friends lost their child. And so I'm just like, shit, that like 3 times, right? And so yeah, you know, so when you talk about purpose, right, it's the point of that story is not just because I like to hear myself speak, but I'm 35 years old and I still don't know what my purpose is. You know what your purpose is.
Right.
That's great. But then I'm 34 years old and I still don't know. I have an idea, but I'm getting there. And that's okay too.
Right. That is absolutely okay. We don't. Not everybody is, you know, blessed to know their purpose at an early age. You know, we try enough things and we finally figure it out because the one thing that we try starts to pull at us. Like, we're like, damn, I want to do that again. I know, I know it. So it happens, you know, and then you can start to manifest the goals because they're all in furtherance of your purpose, right? So we talked about the first one is always developing a goal, right? And in furtherance of your purpose,
Yep.
right? That's first and foremost. Then we develop habits that we need to achieve those goals, right? Identify and develop the habits that we need. And then understanding that in order to get those goals, we need to have the vision. We need to think the vision and then act upon them,
Yep.
right? And then we need to understand the difference between growth, right? Because manifestation is a journey, and throughout that journey we grow,
Right.
versus simple a goal achievement. And then the last one is to get out there and get at it.
Woo, buddy.
Fuck shit up.
Fuck shit up.
Let's go out there and let's get it, right? Because
Damn.
we've built our cup. Our cup is running over. We have, and we're ready. We're dripping and ready to go.
Yeah. No, those are great takeaways, you know?
Right?
Now we can wrap up.
Now we can wrap up. And in that, I will say that we love you. Let's get this day started.